What's up, Smite fans? Welcome back to the Smite Founders Series. We are in round number 5 of Swiss EMEA, getting the last match going on the day. Tythonic versus Thread Level Midnight. We will get to that shortly, but first, I need you to do this. If you haven't gotten into the game, the chance for you could be today. Just type in !access. A giant link will post itself in Twitch chat. You click that link, you'll get access to the game. It's great right now, okay? Everyone's getting added. All your favorite gods are in. Hercules is in. Why are you not in the game? Get in there, !access, and enter that code to make sure you can grab a key and get into the Smite 2 Alpha. Jorby and Trelly going to bring you the first match of the day. Trelly, how you feeling this morning or this afternoon for you? And morning for me.
It is a little bit afternoonish, but still feeling hyped. Gotta be. I mean, we got elimination and promotion games throughout the entirety of the weekend. So, I mean, what more could you want? You got everything on the line for these guys, so they're going to be bringing their A game.
Absolutely. You know, last chance qualifier for those who lose today. We've already gone through most of it. So let's take a look at that EMEA bracket and see how things panned out. You had Bill's Goons getting that forfeit win against the Disciples of Chaos. Smoke Break took down Titans Reloaded 2-0 on stream yesterday. And we'll round out the rest of the EMEA Swiss with Tythonic versus Threat Level Midnight to round it all out. Who will move on to the playoffs? We'll figure that out. But hey, we got more matches because NA is also going on. So here's the schedule for the rest of the day. We got Mr. Play-by-Play versus Borscht. We got Garf's Goblins versus Look Within. And that should be exciting. I'm excited for that Mr. Play-by-Play versus Borscht especially. What are you looking forward to here, Trelly?
I mean, I've been watching this Garf's Goblins roster and how they've been evolving. Honestly, I thought they had the potential to qualify earlier, but the fact that it's coming all down to this and they got to go up against Look Within to do it, I mean, it should be an absolute banger. A great way to end our Sunday and the Swiss stage of the Founders Series.
Yeah, I think Swiss, has gone the way that I think a lot of people did expect it for the EMEA side, but round 5 does create a couple of interesting matchups. And this one, particularly interesting, I think, Tythonic, their run has been a difficult one. They lose to 2 teams that have both qualified for the playoffs. They took it Smoke Break to 3, ended up dropping. They took Yodi Gang to 3 and ended up dropping, and that puts them here. Threat Level Midnight haven't had the same quality of competition. All of the teams that they have played are out in the last chance qualifiers. So a bit of a different story for both of these squads, Trelly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Tythonic came into this event like 4th seed, I believe, whereas Threat Level Midnight was way towards the bottom. So the fact that they've both lasted this long, and in one way, Tythonic lasting this long as in not qualifying, and then Threat Level Midnight as in not getting knocked out yet, both questionable, I should say, just because, you would expect it to have gone differently. But in a situation like this, I mean, Tythonic, as you mentioned, being able to take a lot of these sets to 3 but not finish, that's got to come into question. I mean, if Threat Level Midnight is able to take one game off them, maybe that's going to, elevate their mindset a little bit, because it seems like Tythonic, if they can take it 2-0, they look clean. If it goes to 3, that's where that longevity starts to come into question.
And capitalize that winner's tilt. You get so close to actually taking the series, but let's get underway here with the picks and bans with Tythonic and Threat Level Midnight. We see most of the time Fenrir has been the top pick. Anubis has also been a product of a ban or a first pick. Those seem to be the 2 that get picked out a lot with Amaterasu. But how do you kind of see this shaking out once we get those bans going?
I mean, more often than not, Tythonic's going to say, hey, we don't have to worry about things like Baron, but it looks like they want something else, right? Those are your 2 options. You leave Baron open, leave it to Threat Level Midnight to ban away, and then you try and get a prio pick. In this case, they're trying to force Threat Level Midnight to probably ban the Fenrir, I would assume, and they can try and get their hands on any number of top picks. As you mentioned, I still think Odin is something to consider. Yamoja's a great pickup. It looks like Threat Level Midnight's more worried about the Jing Wei, though, so it could just be that insta-lock into the Fenrir, or Tythonic has something else on their mind that is just more pressing at the moment. Bacchus, I still think, despite the massive nerfs that he has been creating, still very warranting of a top pick. But it looks like stick with all reliable, plays multiple roles. You never really know where this Fenrir is going until the draft goes through. So never going to be revealing too much about your draft to pick up this Fenrir.
Yeah, I mean, Fenrir is just so great early game. The amount of burst he pulls out early on in the jungle. We've seen it all throughout Swiss, and really as long as SMITE 2 has been a thing with Fenrir. But Amaterasu also going to get locked immediately. That is really about like the two top picks every single time. Sometimes an Anubis shows up, but most of the time it's Fenrir, Amaterasu for the first two picks. The second locked in here for threat level, thinking about that next pick.
I'm thinking, oh, the Loki. This is what I've been talking about a bunch, and I'm glad it's just finally starting to come through, because Loki, to me, truthfully, is the best late game jungler in Smite 2 currently. If you let him get level 20, if you let him get 5-6 items, it's just very difficult to match that level of DPS. And one of my favorite picks to match with this Loki is the Neath. So we'll see if threat level Midnight tries to go that direction, because even if you get the better end of him, if you find a good stun, if you catch him while he's invis, when you have World Weaver coming into the equation, no one is winning that 1v2. It's just not going to happen. So we'll see if threat level Midnight tries to go into it. But another pick that has been on the rise is this Athena. Not necessarily only played over in support and solo. We've seen a lot of Athena jungle recently as well, which not only can you not match her rotations, like there's just no one else doing it like Athena with that global presence. The auto attacks from the enhanced reach autos can be ridiculous if you have Polynomicon and hi-rez. So something to watch out for. Again, another multi-role god locked in here for Tythonic. Really not trying to reveal too much of their draft. Unfortunately for threat level Midnight, though, they're not going to be able to combo out that Loki with the Neath, because they're grabbing even more global presence. Athena and Neath, that's disgusting.
I mean, you were talking about that Loki-Neath combo. Do you think that's potentially, a steal of a pick to deny that kind of combination for threat level?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to grab it, because, again, now threat level Midnight, if they do want to go for something like that, they're just left to Nuwa. Like, that's the only other option you can really go for. Still good, but, Shards of Fire is never touching World Weaver in DPS. It's just not going to happen. Sure, you can body block it, but I'm more talking about that Loki split push when there's no one around him. Someone goes to stop it. You send that ult in. Probably going to be a good call. As I mentioned earlier, though, still one of the top tier supports you can grab for here. So much sustain, so much damage, so much lockdown. Yemoja, never going to be a bad pickup. Odin still comes into question here. Phantom Shell is still a fantastic grab against these pickups, but once you stack them together, that's when you really start getting some value. We'll see
foot on my doorway,
through, but
I'll destroy.
Hekate, I love a good Hekate mid. Never going to be a bad pickup for me.
I mean, Hekate, some insane burst for sure. Yesterday, didn't see a lot of success when she hit it. Nuwa looks at least being hovered over right now as the response here. But I do love the Yemoja pick, mostly because I think mid laner is making me more and more a Yemoja fan with how he played Yemoja yesterday as the carry of the team for a little bit. We had the top damage for a little while until the Zeus or Kaidan finally went online with the Zeus. But Susanoo getting locked in here. Another popular pick that we see. Susanoo and Fenrir on this Tythonic squad. Interesting composition here with Tythonic. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so that tells me Athena probably will just go in that traditional support role. You give Fenrir over to solo and let Susanoo take the jungle. Definitely not a bad look. I mean, Kalos is a player that has taken this Athena for years, even back to like early seasons in the Smite Pro League and Smite 1. So definitely not a bad way to throw Athena over towards that support role. It's just so many picks on this squad can play multi-role. But last pickup, remember, Jingwei was banned away. So CERN going to be one of the top ADCs you can grab, especially with Neath gone. I do like the late game damage here for threat level Midnight. Your objective shred is going to be disgusting with the CERN, with those enhanced auto attacks, with Amaterasu shredding the structures, just shreddability. And then of course Kate doesn't really have that bad of burst to try and confirm. But when you look on the other side, you mentioned that early pressure that Fenrir brings, and I see a lot of that here for Tythonic. I mean, Neath is no slouch early on. Susanoo can get a kill at level 2. It seems like Tythonic doesn't want to let threat level Midnight get to level 20. They want to bring the pressure early.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, I expect, high pressure, maybe even those invades that we see in EMEA a lot, and maybe try to get threat level off of their rock a little bit. I am curious how threat level will respond to that, because like you said, little late game composition here, but everyone has their picks. The Susanoo Fenrir combo is the one that's kind of crazy to me. I'm really curious to see how this one's going to work out for them. But Iraffer on that Athena certainly does give me a bit of a foundation for this Tythonic team, who I can't doubt them a little too much. We talked about their their 1-2s against teams that have qualified against Yodi Gang and against Smoke Break. And we did get a chance to see Smoke Break yesterday, and they played really solid. So Tythonic playing them close, or threat level, they haven't really shown the same type of presence against teams that were not as good as the ones that Tythonic had played. So maybe it's just the straight confident composition. Now that one was a tough one for me to get out there, but yeah, to try to put threat level down early and maybe end this one in 20-25.
And that's the thing, though. When you think about the fact that Tythonic probably thinks they shouldn't even be in this position, they feel as if they should have already qualified by now. Whereas threat level Midnight, like, bro, we made it this far. What's one more best of 3? What's one more set to upset these guys and then just knock them into the last chance qualifiers? So that's what I'd be saying. If I was in comms right now, I'd be like, boys, we made it this far. One more game. What is one more set of Smite 2? We already have a very solid draft here. Again, we already talked about this, but Loki, Hecate, and the CERN, they want to get level 20. If they're able to just stall, like hold the brakes to like a 5k lead, something like that, by the time you hit level 20, you're just gonna have so much ease of execution on your composition. You have Rivers Rebuke to start it off. You got the Dazzling Offensive if you want Amaterasu to dive the backline. Then of course Loki, just no one is going to be able to out trade. But we mentioned the early game. Fenrir just eats Loki alive early game. If it's not close, there's no way to stop Brutalize unless you're ulting out, which is very annoying to try and do. And Smite 2 Brutalize follows stealth, so Loki can't even go invis and try and run away. It's very difficult to try and deal when you have to worry about World Weaver, which is just auto target. He's going to be able to run you down. You got the Fire Shards, you have the Nuwa and the Neath with that global presence. So I'm just thinking about the ways that Tythonic can sort of pressure the map and not let threat level Midnight get that itemization online where they're like, hey, we feel good, we're level 20, we're late game. They don't want to let that happen. So for threat level Midnight to try and stop that, there's going to be a lot of weight on this Loki pick to try and get ahead, try and gank the lanes early, just to make sure this snowball doesn't get started.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we just see a heavy presence in duo from both junglers early on, since, Fenrir will be able to stick on to that CERN. That Athena taunt will come in big time to make sure you can maximize the amount of Brutalize that you get. And I mean, this Neath as well, that early game burst, I think is definitely going to be something that will be hard for threat level to actually not just match that pressure, try to get those early kills, but maybe you hope Tythonic kind of overextend a little bit, right? You play that early game high pressure kind of style, and that's where those tendencies start to come out. You do start to over aggress a little bit. Tythonic do have to be careful, because you don't want to give, especially a first blood or any kind of early presence to that Loki for all the reasons that you're talking. That Yemoja can probably put a wrench through that high pressure that Tythonic want to do with her ability to displace. And I'm curious how that back and forth will go and who can outbait the other, because that's what it feels like that duo lane specifically will be.
And that's what you have to consider as well. You mentioned the Yemoja. It's not as if Phantom Shell isn't going to get a ton of value here from just that Yemoja alone, but without that Phantom Shell, you're going to have to worry about beats. And Hecate Open the Gates has been one of the best engage and disengage tools in Smite 2, bar none, if you're hitting it correctly. So that puts a lot of weight onto Rafford. Do you get beads for your team? I mean, the answer is yes, but are you on point at using the beads for your team? Do you always have grouped up with your squad so that you can cleanse that ultimate, make sure they don't get pulled back in? Because again, everyone's going to worry about the rivers, right? We're going to see a lot of Phantom Shells picked up here because Yemoja just brings so much to the table, but that means Loki, Ama, Hecate, they all have so much value from their CC, and it's usually only 1 to 2 purification beads being picked up here, mostly by support and solo. And you have to constantly be grouped up with those tanks, or else you're getting hit by every bit of that CC. So another something that Tythonic can look to try and abuse, the fact that they've got, the Fenrir, they've got a ton of CC. That's going to be a lot of their lockdown. This Athena taunt has a ton of lockdown, so that's something threat level Midnight also has to watch out for. It puts a lot of weight. Smite 2 puts a lot of weight on your support, not only to peel and heal and CC, but also just cleanse your squad, because no one really likes picking up beads when there's things like Yemoja in the game or things like Susano Burst in the game. You want your Aegises, you want your Phantom Shells, and you don't really want to worry about the beads.
And I mean, another aspect I think that you're seeing a lot of use of lately are those side teleporters, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Susano for Tythonic take those rotations early on and maybe find that extra pressure, because You don't want that Amaterasu to just free farm solo if you can help it. If you do go for that early game pressure, so on both sides of the map, finding ways to build that pressure. But yeah, we are about to get into the game. Waiting for everyone to get ready and get in. We appreciate your guys' patience. If you are just tuning in, this is Tythonic versus Threat Level Midnight in round 5 of Swiss in EMEA. Loser goes to the last chance qualifier bracket, while the winner gets a couple of weeks off and will get to play in the playoffs on the road to Vegas, completely sold out. And no doubt all of these players would love to get the trip to Vegas, play in front of a sold out crowd. In esports, there's nothing like having all the seats filled and the crowd going nuts. And especially one of my favorites at SMITE lands is just during the picks and ban stage, Trelly. Like, people will go nuts when certain gods get locked in or a counter happens, and it's really unlike anything else doing it in person. So if you are going to Vegas as a fan, I promise it's going to be a great time. And yeah, we'll be under here shortly. I believe we're about to get in here, Trelly. So let's do this.
Let's jump into game. And also, if you are going to be watching live and you're going to be in the studio, make sure that you are booing anytime someone locks in Loki. Just something to keep in mind. We don't have to start that yet, but it'd be great to hear the stadium roar and just hear everyone booing loud as Archie locks in the Loki. But, you know, I mentioned possibility of phantom shells, Jorby. I'm seeing a curious lack of phantom shells here from Tythonic. 3 blinks, though. So definitely a lot of aggression. Yeah, the only phantom shell is on the opposite side, who doesn't have to worry about any walls going up.
This was happening yesterday, too. Nobody really picked up the phantom shell against Yamoja. So it's interesting because it saw, like, phantom shell was seeing a lot of play just a couple of weeks ago. And now today, now granted, you know, different teams playing this time, different strategies, but hey, I'm a big fan of the blink. I'll buy blink on anybody. So, you know, I respect it. But yeah, very curious opening. Anything that kind of sticks out to you? It looks like everything else kind of standard here as far as the itemization.
No, this is kind of what I was expecting. Again, this is like one of those throwback picks that I remember watching years ago, seeing the Kalos, and in this case, Emilito in the duo lane. Should be a lot of pressure. Again, you've got Athena, you've got the Neath, so taunt into Spirit Arrow, definitely a lethal combination. If Ice Ice heads over early, could be seeing some sparks fly immediately, but pretty tame start. You know, we expected that there could be a possibility for invades. You can kind of look around the map here. Everyone's starting where you might expect. Something that I, as a mid laner, hate, but has become much more prominent, is these solo laners just taking red buff, man. Like, I get it. You want to hit level 2. You realize that you're going to have a good time if you just take the red buff. But Nil, surprisingly, does get the red buff, does pick up Sunder, but opts to just leave blue buff there to go in and get more wave pressure. That's going to try and get Distortion F to starve a little bit of farm. Maybe you head back for blue buff afterwards. It ends up working out good for you if you can grab that blue. But if I'm Threat Level Midnight, I'm telling Archie, hey, this blue buff's still up. Loki, you should be heading over right now. We can definitely pressure this Fenrir.
Well, Fenrir is actually putting the pressure on right now. That Brutalize, that early game damage is when it is at its most lethal at level 1. Emmanuel facing a little bit of that pressure as well. So you just kind of see the dual-sided pressure, but the rotation will force Threat Level Midnight back, and Ice Ice catches Archie out. And what looked like a high-pressure situation, barely surviving. Emmanuel will happily live.
My goodness, man, that was some clutch moments and some low health bars all throughout. Tythonic is trying to bring the pressure pretty much everywhere except for duo lane. I talked about how Athena and Neath can combo well, but you need some clear to be able to do that. And Ice Ice just bullying poor Archie. Level 2 cannot hope to match the DPS. Oh, the pull, that might confirm, and the body blocks.
Oh, death by 1,000 cuts, Ice Ice. Have some chill, dude. It's not even 2 minutes into the game yet. My God.
Okay, first of all, well done on the chill and the Ice Ice. I don't know if you meant to do that, but I love it. Second of all, this is a terrible start for Loki. I talked to you about how the late game is where Loki comes to shine. When you're 0-2 at 2 minutes, I'm not sure late game is what you're thinking about. You're worried about, do I get my next speed buff? And the answer at the moment seems like no.
Yeah, you might have some trouble in your jungle for a while. The way that it's going, the confident start here for Tythonic. This is kind of how they started in their last series when they played against Titans Reloaded. They got off to a strong start. Titans Reloaded was able to fight back a little bit. Again, the big thing with Tythonic is closing. While we're in the opening 5 minutes here. I've seen this duo get out-pressured a little bit from Tythonic. We'll keep an eye on this, because that could be an important development here for TLM. They've been constantly forced back into their tower, haven't been able to find that deadly Athena Neath combo we keep talking about. But meanwhile, over in this solo lane...
Oh, it's bait. Duo, they're baiting. They were only hiding for a reason, Norby. They want the Susano. They want Ice Ice to find it, but I think it was called out. That's a shame. When you get out pressured over in duo, if you can't find the kill, you're just asking for Susano to come over, but unfortunately, one fertilize will do it, and he falls down. My goodness. They bait us to look left. All the action was actually happening on the right side of the map, but as I mentioned earlier, when Archie's behind, these buffs, they come into question.
He's able to hit level 5, immediately pop that ult. Here comes the attempted steal and maybe the ensuing fight. Ice Ice and company gonna leave real quick. Kalas right behind, just gonna take that jungle and try to get back some of that experience. TLM certainly losing the right side of the map right now, but that duo lane still kind of up for grabs. You see Ice Ice over there a couple of times, trying to add a little bit more pressure on that side. Still solid opening as well. Ice Ice does not care, and he will just go deep, take all of your camps, and sorry, buddy, you get nothing, Archie.
Bro's level 3. He is...
It's rough.
Yeah. Nil is double the levels of Archie at the moment, which means you don't want to fight on the solo side of the map, but as we already showed, left side of the map belongs to Tythonic as well. Speed and purple go their way. A little bit of damage heading on over towards Sasuke, but I don't think it's going to net much because, again, the support is gone. This ult would just be rude. There is 0 kill potential here. It is just to try and pressure out over in duo lane. But Defender of Olympus is here as well. Remember, Athena can make her presence known on top of the World Weaver, on top of Fire Shards. So there is a lot of global presence that have to be considered. Even if there is a nice gank that looks like a 2v1, it could instantly become, what, a 4v1, a 4v2? If we're considering the ults from Neath and from the Nuwa, and of course from the Defender of Olympus as well. So just keep your eyes on it, man. Even if threat level Midnight find it a favorable fight, it could turn on its head in an instant.
Yeah, just that presence is so hard to combat. Haven't had a need for it just yet, but as soon as they start figuring out, okay, we can take this objective, we've isolated somebody, everyone rotate, Defender of Olympus comes out like you're saying, and it'll be a critical moment for TLM, how you respond in that situation. Heavy look towards the mid lane. Meanwhile, over in duo, a lot of damage getting done, and I think you're done here, buddy. But no, the polymorph. No, goodbye. Emelito has the ult, of course. It shaded it earlier, and that's all you gotta do. Nil as well, taking Distortion down, who is not having a good time in solo.
Norby, this game is already, that snowball I told you about that we're trying to stop is already looking good. Emmanuel, though, taking a lot of damage. The Blink will get you out of trouble every single time, and here comes Ice Ice. Shouldn't have the damage to find anything, but it's his mid laner out of trouble all the less. He still had Shards of Fire available, but that ult damage was a bit of a threat, so probably smart just to use that one. And unfortunately, Valeron just kind of got baited out into using that Aegis. Good ultimate here just to try and lock it down, but it seems like it's just for Peel.
Is this EMEA or is this North America? It's like there are fights happening at every single stage. I know we talked about the early game for Tythonic, and they clearly are playing for that. But man, there's just a fight every about 20 seconds, and it's TLM's health bars that are on the rough end of it. How about what Nil's been doing over here? He actually took a decent chunk of damage. Not really gonna matter too much. Still pretty heavy up on Distortion, taking a ton of damage here. It doesn't matter. Amaterasu will always be a threat, and Nil has to abandon it.
Yeah, I mean, full bracer online for Distortion F, whereas Nil stopped to pick up that Golden Blade. Definitely a strong item, but kind of takes a bit to get online. A little bit of an invade attempt ends up going not well for Ice Ice, confirmed by Distortion F, so no more presence there. But Valeron, you're pushing up pretty far here. It seems like you're not aware that Kalas is behind you, or you think you can just run away. I guess there was no backup, so it doesn't really matter if we see an Athena over in duo, unless someone else shows up. But there's a little action happening over in solo.
Oh, got on the ult, got the stun, tries to blink away, but it's not enough. Ice Ice going down to Distortion and barely avoiding a tower kill, getting out just in time. So Distortion finally finding some footing over in the solo lane and gets an important pick there to help kind of steady the flow there on solo lane. We're already talking about it was veering on almost a 4K gold lead for Tythonic. They start to stabilize a little bit. You're not seeing that domination in the jungle like you saw in the first 5 minutes from Tythonic. Slowly but surely, TLM are finally getting control of their own half. Gonna be tough work still. Emmanuel has been able to survive by the skin of his minions a couple of times, including that combat blink earlier that got him out of that Kate ult. Meanwhile, Nil, it doesn't really matter what Distortion was able to do. Just leaping away. As soon as that leaps back with the Brutalize, going for it, getting the kill, and will absolutely survive. Nil does not care. Knew he could pick it up. The fight again over on this duo side. Tythonic have all the pressure now. Neathal does not get the kill, but Emilito wants it. Trying to blink it. And you got absolutely destroyed. Valeron dared him to take it and gets the kill.
Emilito, I mean, that was high risk, low reward. It's not even as if Valeron is worth that much gold at this point, but beautifully played to stop that blink. And unfortunately, Emilito falls down with no benefit of that aggression underneath the tier 1 tower. I love that dive from Nil, by the way. I mean, Distortion F has been a threat, even though sitting at 1 and 2 at the time, still does plenty of damage on this Amaterasu. But then immediately after, Tythonic is trying to dive the tier 1 tower over on left. Ice. We already saw what happens when Emilito tries to dive. A little bit of help from Defender of Olympus could be the call, but do you have the damage to find the kill? It looks like no!
Oh, the stun! Archie comes in to save the day to get the kill, but the stun to completely stop the push. And again, TLM are countering excellently here. The last few fights, wow. Well, Nil was the only one who was able to get things going on that tower dive, but diving on this side is not netted success. What a rotation from Archie.
Yeah, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Don't dive the tier 1 tower. Valeron's got everything he needs to stay alive. And of course, Archie showing up at the perfect moment. Remember, this was a Loki that we were concerned about being able to confirm his own buffs, was sitting at level 3, getting bullied out by just about everyone. All it takes is one good rotation like that. Valeron still taking the damage. No, what? You got an extra global presence, and now Kalos is in trouble.
Going down quickly. We'll turn around. This one looks really good for threat level Midnight as the health bar dropping for Emilito. And Sasuke will get that kill. And now you're talking about a completely different game at the 10-minute mark as the buffs will go the way of TLM in their own half, which shouldn't be a talking point, but it definitely was here after the first 5 minutes. You look at that gold lead slowly but surely being shored up. You're only about 1.5K down now, or just under 2K down for TLM, slowly getting control of this game. That first Gold Fury will certainly be a critical one for both of these teams, but what a comeback here from TLM in the first 10.
And that's the thing, Jorby. I really expected Tythonic to sort of, lay on the pressure like they've been doing, but not make any overextensions, right? They had such a lead. They could have truthfully just waited for Nil to rotate out. I mean, this is a level 12, 3-0 Fenrir. You talked about those base teleporters. You talked about those right side, left side teleporters. We could have just seen Nil over, play through a little bit of presence over in duel, and then go for a gold fury. But instead, we've seen this repeated attempt at diving tier 1 tower. Emmanuel taking a lot of damage. Forced to blink out, and Defender of Olympus just to survive under the own tower. Speaking of your tower, Nil continuing up that presence over and right, but Emmanuel's dead.
Emmanuel finally gets killed, and well, that's just got to be a confidence booster considering how often he lived with like, what, 10 HP? And finally actually get the kill there. This is really flipping now. I mean, you talk about, letting Nil come over and rotate, maybe playing some of these lanes a bit differently, but like I was kind of saying in the pregame, I was worried about Tythonic overextending, getting too confident. You get those early wins and you feel like, oh, we got this in the bag. 5 minutes in, we're absolutely wrecking them. Nil's tower diving, getting kills. Emilito tower dove once, made it work. And then after that, it has been all TLM punishing that overextension. Emilito getting punished twice for it. And shading the ult here, trying to set up maybe the stun for Nil, but actually going to hold off on it for now.
So much presence throughout the map. Again, you don't have to overextend like this. You don't need to go in for these plays. I love that Nil is just owning in solo lane, right? Like, I like watching it. It's good, Smite. But there are some other people that may need Odin besides the 1 and 3 Amaterasu. And if you just waited for your Fenrir to head over, I think Gold Fury could be a very easy possibility here for Tythonic, but they still want to try and play through their own lanes. specifically through mid and duo side, at least for now. Queen Naga has spawned in once again. This was already grabbed once by TLM. Looks like Sasuke trying to go in for a bubble bounce steal potentially, and this would be nice. This would help open up the doors for that gold fury I've been talking about, unless Sasuke can take it away with a well-timed bubble, and it looks like not going to be the call.
Close. Tough. Defender of Olympus on nil. Will force the fight away. Nuwa.
Too early.
Got the kill. Wait, Emelito's right there. Poor Cryonic, man. I understand your pain on that Nuwa ult.
You can only Aegis one. Yeah, he can only Aegis one of the ults there, and of course there were just too many of them. This is such an annoying combo, man. You think, like, all right, I Aegis the Nuwa ult, I'm out of the woods, but the Nuwa ult gives you vision, so World Weaver can see you, even if you're underneath your own tower, far away from everyone else. A little bit of scrap over in duo. Remember, no Defender of Olympus, but with that Queen Naga buff, it looks like Pyromancer is a possibility here for Tythonic.
TLM are looking at it. Actually, looking at it enough that Tythonic don't want to fight it anymore. Meanwhile, Nil, the solo lane, might as well just rename it to Nil's lane. Completely owning Distortion right now over in that solo. And that is the one thing that has been consistently going right. But, you know, we keep talking about those rotations. They finally do it. You got to feel like if you were going to, it has to be now. Now coming across, you'll see that big damage come out after the farm in the solo lane. Doing all the damage. You can tower dive all you want. Polymorph, Fenrir's happy to be a pig for a couple moments in his life.
Man, that tower, it was tickling Nil. It didn't even seem like it was hitting. Not going to be a pull on an objective, though. Just ends up going back to base. I really thought Nil would say, hey, we've got 2 dead. Why not go in for the Fury? Not going to be the case. Archie being a good teammate, defending the tier 1 tower while Valeron is dead. But yeah, just backed over to solo lane, man. This seems like as free of a gold fury as one can get. And remember, you've got 2 Sunders. I mean, Kalas and Nil both have access to Sunder. Nil's is down for 15 seconds, but definitely seemed like it could have been an attempt. But that tells me Tythonic's not worried. They're not worried about overextending. They're not worried about going in, but Archie wants to go for the ult.
Oh, Defender of Olympus also out. World Weaver activated, but nobody around to really follow up with it, and already beyond the tier 2. Meanwhile, taunt onto the Emoja, and you came in a little late, but barely escaping. Doesn't matter because World Weaver's alive. You get the stun. Kalas will confirm the kill, and Sasuke goes down. Not the rotation you wanted to see here from the Emoja, and that tier 1 looks saucy unless, well, this Cerninos can do something about it, but nope, nothing you can do in that 2v1. Tier 1 will be on the duo side for Tythonic.
Jorby, I'm getting a little frustrated, and it's not because of the aggression. I love that, but in most games when there's even less action than this, Gold Fury's at least been attempted at this point, but Tythonic has been either playing a dominant game or a back and forth game. Right now, we're back to the dominant side. They're even pushing tier 1 tower over and left, but they just don't seem to be concerned with trying to pull any sort of objective. Pyromancer was looked at. Finally, Gold Fury is being attempted. Kalas is here. Gonna be tanking this one up. We have time to try and go forward, but in the meantime, what does TLM do? They're showing up. They know this objective's being pulled. They want to try and throw some action, and that's enough to make the Tythonic reset. Remember, Kalas could start the fight with a dash taunt, but Emmanuel's taking a lot.
Oh, he took a lot of damage. We'll have to blink out of it. That isolates a couple of players. They're losing a lot of health. Ice actually takes Cryonic out. And be careful, Nil's also rotating over here. Really flip things into Tythonic's favor. They're trying to regroup with him. And there he is. We'll get all that damage off. Brutalize the wall. Doesn't matter. You're trapped inside with Nil. The water is not your friend. And Tythonic, surely this will push them back and get them a gold fury.
You would think, but Emmanuel's going back to base. Ice is going back to base. Defender of Olympus is heading towards mid lane. Finally! I mean, we saw it smacked up once. Do you confirm the first objective of the game? 17 minutes in, 6,000 gold in the lead. I'm thinking the answer is yes. Finally, TLM nowhere to be found. This Fury will drop down for our first objective of the game. Remember, after 3, we start to look into the Ancient Fury, which really helps out when going in for structures. So it's important to get these golds down immediately. Nil trying to find some action on the Valeron. Here comes the World Weaver, but didn't realize the gank was already called off. Taking a little damage, Valeron. Welcome back to lane. And you're going to have to head back to base to get some healing. Remember, all the while, Distortion F did not rotate. Amaterasu was not in any of those strats. Was just pushing right lane. But what do you have to show for it, Jorby? The tier 1 tower still stands tall.
Yeah, I couldn't get anything. I mean, you're down 2 levels on Nil. No doubt you feel like you need to farm. You don't feel like you've been able to really do much in solo lane. You've kind of just gotten completely outboxed. You know, that can put a little fear in you. He rotated out and I think did a little damage actually to Cryonic as well, but it's definitely not how, or Distortion, not Cryonic, excuse me. Definitely not how you wanted this one to go for TLM. And the longer we go here, it does look like we're kind of inching towards that 20 to 25 minute victory for Tythonic. TLM has started to come back in that first 10 minutes, and maybe I might find an important pick here. Emelito down. Valeron will get it and get the rest of that camp. So Emelito has been getting picked on a little bit. He's definitely been willing to just go in, dive, and you know, play some good old-fashioned aggressive smite. He's gotten punished for it a couple of times. That duo lane, while it has been difficult for TLM, hasn't necessarily been the worst for TLM. Definitely not like other lanes.
Right, because again, you don't have beats, so as long as you're able to chain that CC together, Archie and Valeron can always combo like that, unless Kalas is just has his finger locked and loaded on Defender of Olympus to try and give some of that shielding over towards the mid laner. Not gonna happen. A little bit of aggression over in solo, just a force out dazzling offensive. That'll be up soon. A lot of CDR already picked up for Distortion F, but still something valuable to get down. Ice Ice, you're walking into another trap. A lot of damage coming through, but no more assassinate. If anything, just gonna get the ult down. I love the attempt though. I mean, Archie needs to get active somewhere, and hey, you can just bait someone to walk in. But Cryonic, what are you doing here?
Oh no, yeah, they're not gonna do anything against Nil. This is his lobby. 6-0-2, almost level 20 already. Might be a third level up on his lane partner if he keeps this up. And man, what a dominant performance. We talked about the Fenrir being that impact early on, but it's turning out to be the impact all throughout, and need those rotations. They have been really clean, but I think you can see as Loki trying to get the kill. Emelito barely escaping. Will blink out. Are you gonna blink out and go back in? Okay.
They don't really have much else to die here. Again, they have to try and chain the polymorph together, otherwise the blink just comes through. And unfortunately for Emelito, you gotta keep running away. The body block from the Emelito! Oh my goodness, that was so well played.
Oh, if anything is gonna work for TLM, it is what they've been doing to Emelito. Archie has had his number. Taking him out again. He sent the decoy body block, preventing him from being able to escape even after the second leap. And Valeron will get this tier 1. No one over here to contest it. And that will help even things up, at least as far as the lane pressure is concerned. The duo, Nil's kind of shading over to this left side as well. Tythonic hoping to respond with the solo tier 1 going down in this 2v1. Emoja trying to hold it back, and with the rotations all out of sorts as TLM trying to cover some lanes. They were trying to pressure some others. Rotation comes through. Athena taunt, giving Emmanuel a chance with the minions. Gets stunned a little bit. More assists. The Susanoo comes in as well. That will force TLM back. This is not a fight that they feel confident in. Don't have an immediate rotation coming. Archie is slowly coming forward, but it might be too late. There's a lot of ability dump, a lot of health dropped, and Kalas goes down. Sasuke gets that kill. Tier 1 goes down, and the fight's still alive with Tythonic on the health advantage, on the ability advantage, on the kill advantage. Ice Ice finds another, and that forces the full retreat.
Yeah, but where is Nil? Where can Nil find the cutoff? Is it towards Distortion or is it towards Archie? It looks like Archie getting the worst end of this one, and the Fenrir means business. You're in his mouth, and you're down. Ice Ice steals the kill just to let his solo layer know he can help out as well. But Cryonic, why are you so far forward again? Is this old enough? Looks like no, the new lock picked that one up. No problem. All the while, Valeron's just like, dude, I need farm. Like, I'm gonna go as deep as I can to get something. But Fire Giant seems like it's on the minds here for Tythonic. Distortion F is nearby though, and remember, Amaterasu does have the Sunder. Does he know it's happening, or does he stay far, far away?
Considering how he has played so far, sure, gotta know they're at least trying for it. Everybody was down. Distortion does. Opens the gates. Takes a look. Has to line it up. All about timing. In. Gets pushed out of the way and knocked up. Fire Giant goes down. Ice Ice takes Distortion out. And Tythonic got the Fire Giant. Now this one just may complete the snowball.
I mean, hey, you're 1-4. You might as well go in for the steal, right? Not a bad look for Distortion. Unfortunately, just well-timed taunt, well-timed CC chain there coming from Tythonic. Now they get the surge on forward with the help of Emmanuel. these new WoW minions will certainly assist them in trying to break down these structures. I mentioned Ace and Fury earlier on. We've only seen one Gold Fury drop, so that is certainly not going to be the call, but you got a CC chain and you got an Aegis. Cryonic barely makes it out of this one. You do not want to step up when Emelito has that ultimate charged.
Not at all, and well, I guess you don't need a Gold Fury when you already have the Fire Giant in hand, and you can just barrel down mid and, well, compete for this Phoenix. Sasuke goes down. New Wall gets another one. Cryonic gets the kill. Gets ice, but it won't do anything to stop this mid Phoenix from falling to Tythonic. Tythonic had played it well here, and as we approach the 25-minute mark with most of those towers down and that mid Phoenix down, that would be some hard pressure to try to come back from. All tier 2s up for Tythonic.
A bit of damage here. Good content already. Valeron, now you're picked up by the big dog. You have the damage to bring him down. It looks like, oh, a lot of damage coming to Emmanuel. They're turning this.
Might get this other kill, but you gotta stay alive. You need bodies to be able to push, and they will keep everybody alive. Nil finally goes down, and that's his first death in the game so far. So Tythonic get pushed back a little bit, trying to get that extra push, that extra kill, but you get caught between a tier 2 and a Phoenix, hoping you can get that kill, and maybe just a bit of an overextension again here from Tythonic.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were debating on going for an end call. They decided against it. It looked a little bit risky, so instead you go in for the tier 2, but Emelito wasn't even really there. He wasn't interested in that fight. Nil had some good damage, but all of threat level Midnight, they still had their ultimates up. So now, we talked about Gold Fury. It is still available for threat level Midnight to try and grab and sort of ease up that gold deficit. We were looking at something like 12K. Now it's looking more like 6, and you've bought yourself some time to try and grab some extra gold in the meantime. You only lost your mid Phoenix as well, which is relatively easy to defend. You're always sort of around mid lane depending on where you are on the map. So if threat level Midnight's whole goal was to stall towards late game, which again I've already alluded to, that is where this composition truly comes online. They're doing a decent enough job as trying to make that happen. But Tythonic, I mean, only way you can say it here, they're playing a bit sloppy. With the lead that they had, I don't think they should have been able to have been taken down this many times. It just seems like they're going a little bit crazy, but hey, they've got the lead to back it up, and they still do have the map placement throughout. So it's not as if they're, you know, one mess up away from throwing their lead here.
I mean, but, you know, you kind of look back to some of their previous matches, and, you know, we talked about Tythonic having to finish, and this same problem just maybe coming back to haunt them again. This is over-aggression, you know, overconfidence in your ability to just win those 1v1s, even in some cases, if you're Emelito, 1v2s. You haven't been able to do it. The portal's open to try to delay, but that doesn't do anything. Tythonic fall on Cryonic. Poor Cryonic just get absolutely destroyed. Nothing you can really do about it. Everybody is gone. Emelito will take this tier 2 without much affair as the rest of the team comes in to support him. And you have that split push on the solo lane as well. Valeron will get that tier 2 as well, but there's a fight more important happening in front of the Phoenix, and Emmanuel will keep the push going for Tythonic, and now it looks like Tythonic are back in full control despite that attempted comeback from TLM. Another Phoenix will likely fall here as they get completely zoned out by Nil to make sure they can get that damage out cleanly, and now they can take the team fight with full health bars. Everybody's trying to survive, but survival has not been in the cards for TLM. The new ult helps get Distortion down, and Emelito will get the kill, and the Titan about as vulnerable as you need it to be. But Emmanuel going down shouldn't matter too much here. Titan loses the health. Here's the Akate ult. You can grab anybody, you grab nobody. And oh man, contested. You just escape everything, and that should. This is looking a little dangerous, but finally they get the kill. Cryonic gets one for the road, but you don't get the win. Game 1 goes to Tythonic.
And as it turns out, Tythonic actually heard me when I said they were playing sloppy, and they said, we can end this game whenever we want. We've just been playing with our food. A little bit unfortunate there for TLM. And Cryonic, that all starts with just assuming the mid lane would be safe, stepping a little bit too far out of your comfort zone, and then the whole squad was there just to close up. And again, I feel like that game could have been a bit shorter. There was a massive lead built up for Tythonic. They didn't really play through Nil as well as I would have expected, but at the end of the day, it did not matter. This Fenrir was a menace throughout. Ice, despite falling down a few times, was able to play through both lanes, really, if you want to, which is a jungler's dream. And despite the fact that Emelito was kind of getting camped, I mean, the Nuwa Neath combo was always going to be online. So you got to give props not only to the picks and bans. I love the way that they drafted this composition, but also the way they piloted it. I mean, it just seemed really hard to try and deal with.
Yeah, it was really difficult for sure. And, objectives, I guess, are just a suggestion for Tythonic. And, a win is a win at the end of the day. But game number 2 will be headed your guys' way. We'll look at those post game stats after the break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Make sure you subscribe to that Smite Pro YouTube channel because we don't just have EMEA and NA. We got a bunch of other regions. We got APAC. We got Latin America. We got all sorts of stuff. We got This Week in Smite 2. You've got the fun little games that you guys do that I really enjoy, that are really fun. So make sure you subscribe to the Smite Pro YouTube channel and check out all that extra content around the pro scene. And we're about to get ready with our next lobby here with Tythonic and TLM. Tythonic took a convincing game number 1 win with an early game composition. TLM had some good moments here and there, Trelly, but for the most part, kind of got dominated, most thanks to Nil there in that solo lane.
Yeah, it did really seem like the nil show here. I was a big fan of watching this Fenrir work because, we talked about how Amaterasu is just top of the tier list right now, still does do some great damage. And we did see a bit of that from Distortion F, but turns out Fenrir still does bring all the early pressure in the world just to make sure that really no one was able to step up here. And when you're out damaging Nuwa, a god that can auto hit every character on the enemy team at like a solid 70-second cooldown, once you start getting your cooldown right online, that's when you know you're doing big things. And that's exactly what Nil was able to grab. But with that being said, there was some good here from threat level Midnight. They were able to capitalize on, some overextensions. They were able to punish when Tythonic got a little cocky, a little bit overzealous. So that does tell me that if TLM had some more early game composition, like maybe if they had some more early action, they could have, stopped a bit of what Tythonic wanted to do. That's definitely a possibility. When a lot of these teams that are up against higher seeds, a lot of times I see them go for like the top of the tier list picks that they know are very strong late game, but it doesn't matter if you don't ever get online. Like Archie did great things, but could never match the damage of, Ice or Nil, because you need full itemization for Loki to be able to do that. So I'm thinking of game number 2, I need to see a complete switch up in priority here for TLM. You got to get that early pressure because late game doesn't matter if it never comes.
Well, let's see how they win this in the draft or how they try to play it. We'll see if they continue to go with that late game. We got picks and bans coming right up. And for Tythonic, you might just go for that comfort, because also what put Archie back a little bit, remember Ice with those early frags in the enemy jungle and taking all those camps early, which put Archie behind. Archie was able to still do some things, but you see the Fenrir ban from threat level. They do not like Nil. They don't want him to have Fen anymore. Baron Samedi getting banned, exactly who they banned last time for Tythonic.
So it's got to be the Jing Wei, right? I mean, that was the one sleeper pick that goes uncontested, or at least in game number 1, it was Baron ban into the Jing Wei. Fenrir is open. Now, you got Fenrir, you got Baron. You'd think threat level tries to put their presence over towards that Jing Wei. But remember, there was a lot going on in that game. There was a Nuwa, there was an Athena, there was a Susano. So threat level could be saying, hey, let's ignore the picks that we know we want and just focus on getting Tythonic on something different. If that's the case, then I wouldn't be surprised if something like Athena was considered, but I still think that either like Neath or the Jing Wei would be on the top of their priority list, just because, again, the Jing Wei, just something that was banned away last time, and in this case, the Neath was something that was annoying. It wasn't as if Emilito wasn't killable. He certainly got ganked a lot, but at the end of the day, he still did a good bit of damage. This is shocking to me, though. It seems like threat level just wants to run back that Ama. They feel like, hey, if Distortion F didn't have to deal with Fenrir, he would have been running the show. So let's just ban away the Fenrir and run that same solo lane back and see what Tythonic does to try and match up against it. Does mean, of course, that Neath's still available. If Fenrir is gone, I still think of Odin as a possibility, but we'll see where Tythonic goes.
We must do our best to teach them anyway.
Some Odin. I would love to see that here. Athena Neath combo worked well for Tythonic before, especially in those team fights, and I thought that Raffer really did a great job moving around, or Kalas, not Raffer. Wrong player, but Kalas did a great job moving around with that defender of Olympus. Tythonic really just as a whole unit in that mid game played super well. Loki getting picked, Akate getting picked. It's like the same exact comp here for threat level.
Yeah, I'm imagining the comms for threat level are just like, bro, I'm telling you, it was the Fenrir. Like, we got this. That comp was money. Like, we are going to absolutely own them. This is a switch up I certainly didn't expect. Man, I mean, Zeus got some buffs. Let's be clear about something. Zeus did get some buffs going into this week. A pick that has not gotten much playtime, and when he does get playtime, he gets the far inferior build. I want to go on record to say the far inferior strength build that I dislike. Now that we've seen the Zeus locked in with a Neith, it's very possible we get the much more superior intelligence build that is much better and way cooler, and J-Mac has nothing to do with this at all. But with the Zeus Odin combo, it's going to be clean, man. Big circles, drop them on top of each other. There's a lot of characters on the side of threat level that can't get out of a cage without the help of a Phantom Shell, so keep that in mind.
I think Kaidon yesterday did go with the intelligence build on Zeus, and he got top damage by a large margin for his team. Odin locked in as well. Yamoja and Jingwei, so they do get their Jingwei, which was the only difference in this composition. Cernanos out, Jingwei in, and again, it's that late game composition for threat level. And it comes down to, how will Amaterasu fare against this Odin? You certainly don't have as much of that early game burst damage, but I mean, Odin still kind of has a heavy dose of it. I feel like, you might feel like you can get around it a little bit better. It doesn't have something like that brutalize, but this final pick for Tythonic on the jungle side, maybe another Susanoo for Ice Ice.
Definitely a possibility. I'm still holding on to the possibility that this Athena could be jungle as well. It hasn't been something we've seen yet, but the flexibility is there, and I've seen so much good gameplay out of Athena. So until 5th pick gets locked in, I'm not going to cement it just yet. Kalas had a fantastic performance on it. We know he can pilot it well. With that being said, Odin can also play a pretty decent jungle at the moment. So let's see, Tythonic, give us a glimpse into our future. While that's hovering, threat level, I'm surprised that they went this hard on just running this composition back. They truthfully believe that Distortion F is going to be the difference maker. At least that's what I'm imagining. With the Mordred locked in, surprisingly, that doesn't really help Athena's pretty much locked in for support. That much I know. But Mordred and Odin, I think, both have decent arguments to be made about playing jungle and solo. I actually prefer Mordred in the solo lane the more I think about it, just because that ultimate is so telegraphed and you come to expect it so much when Mordred's constantly rotating. But when he's over in solo lane, you kind of put it out of sight, out of mind. You're like, I'm not going to get hit by Pursue the Weak. He's all the way over there. And then he's suddenly behind you through a wall, and then you're in a bad spot. So I think probably Ice Ice takes it, but I would really love to see us spawn in with Ice Ice on that Odin, just to give us some sort of diversity here. But to your point, this Amaterasu does have a much better time. And the Fenrir we saw, Nil got off to a great start and it didn't seem like he stopped. But I think up against Odin or Mordred, we could see some more action fly here from Distortion F.
For me, I'm looking at Cryonic because there were a couple of times where I was really questioning his positioning on some of the plays that happened in mid. Just kind of got caught out. Didn't seem to be fully aware of where Tythonic were, how they were rotating, and there were a couple picks in there. It's like, why are you here? Why are you panic alting and then dying? It's a huge part of this composition in terms of getting that burst damage out, and he was just completely locked down on this Hekate. So I don't know if he has to play a little more defensive. I think Zeus, he has the potential. You talk about the intelligence build and the amount of burst that can give, but he can also get camped if you pressure him well enough. So you could really help get your Hekate online a lot sooner, get stacked up, and really get some of that burst down that you weren't able to do it all in the mid lane. Because mid lane was, Emmanuel had all that support behind him. And so Cryonic, I'm just kind of looking at the positioning, looking at how you're playing the game, and can you play a more measured approach here and not get picked as often in this mid lane?
Yeah, and remember, Tythonic still does have the option to say, hey, there's Hekate has this big pull, and we're probably not going to be getting beads on Zeus. It's possible. But if we don't like that matchup where Zeus is going to be always in danger of getting open the gates, we could just do a very easy swap and say Neith takes mid. We give Emilita over to the Zeus, and then he could go the strength build, right? He could go auto tag crit Zeus. That's a possibility.
You really don't like it.
Dude, I don't like it one bit. And I know, J-Mac brought me stats. He's like, look at the win rates, man. It's 14% better if you build crit Zeus. I'm like, that's crazy. It turns out that intelligent Zeus players are just bad, because I know when you see, again, there's some buffs to Lightning Storm. When you see the Zeus ult, if he goes intelligence, even if he does it, they still got buffed. But he's going to be chunking, especially if he goes the Staff of Mirrodin double snap build. Pay attention to it. But regardless, Tythonic has the ability to take both of these picks and say, they could be good in either lane. We could swap at any moment, just because the Zeus v Hekate matchup isn't exactly favorable. So I'm going to hold on to my hope for that one as well. A lot of different role possibilities here for Tythonic, whereas threat level, they're pretty much already locked in. We know where everything's going, I would assume.
Well, let's go ahead and get into the game. Game number 2. Tythonic could play and win and get into the playoffs, send TLM down to the last chance qualifier. And that last chance qualifier almost rounded out here with the last team waiting to be found. It very well may be TLM with how that first game went, but as we know, no two games of Smite are completely alike, even though the comp is almost exactly the same for TLM. But we talk about the difference, banning out the Fenrir, so that solo lane will have a heavy emphasis. We'll be keeping an eye on Distortion and how he's handling business over there. But I'm also kind of looking towards this duo lane, right? We talk about Emelito being willing to dive into that tier 1, regardless of the numbers disadvantage, really confident in his Neath play, played into the taunts really well, but even solo, the responses were really good from TLM. It was less Emelito just kind of playing poorly and more TLM having great responses to his aggressive play. I'm also kind of looking at that to see how it goes, and the early invade this time will be Tythonic trying to get that early pick. They won't get it. All 5 stacked up and just try to keep them away so they don't get kind of counter-flogged here.
You do take down the Shell and the Aegis from duo lane. I mean, that's not bad. It's not nothing, I will say. You already have to go on back. Remember, because we saw Ice piloting that Odin, it will be nil on the Mordred solo, which is where I prefer these roles to be played. Just something to consider. A bit of aggression over towards the purple buff here. How much steal potential do you have if you're Ice? No Sunder available. That's only over on Distortion F. So you'd have to confirm this purple yourself. And it looks like Allah says, you know what? I've got Taunt and Sunder myself, so I'm just going to snag that one away. Not a great start here for threat level Midnight. Remember, you lost your Aegis, you lost your Phantom Shell, and now you lost your purple buff. I mean, that's
an early game
open
tilter.
Up some doors. Yeah, that should open up some doors here for Tythonic.
I'm tilted for TLM there. Tough, for sure, but you're starting from behind. Not so dissimilar to how it started in the first 5 minutes of game number 1. Here's this battle early on, Distorted versus Nil. And nobody gets the better. You don't get all of that brutalized 100 to 25 health immediately. Yeah, push back a little bit. TLM had that early game pressure in duo in game number 1. Trying to find a way to isolate the support. Not going to happen just yet. The fight, Tythonic seem to want to take it. Taunt comes through, and that Neath burst can certainly turn this fight on its head quickly, but they'll pull off and try to get that early goal.
Oh, can you block the dash here from Distortion? Looks like no, he dashes in. That's going to be an easy first blood. 4-0. Distortion F was worried about the dash getting body blocked, so just tried to get aggressive, but now Valeron maybe in a bad spot here. Taunt, is there any Spirit Arrow available? Looks like no. Samuelito not able to find it. But remember, again, Aegis still down for 15 seconds here. Valeron could be in some trouble. Speaking of, Ice teleported over. Maybe a taunt into a bird bomb could give us some action over in duo.
They're certainly thinking about it.
Oh, nope.
Yeah, I might have to abandon ship on this one, depending if they decide to pull right up. They don't know that Ice is there. We'll see if they push up, but you do see Valeron going to be backing. Sasuke holding under tower could be the pick, but nope. Ice also going to back, so no play there in the duo lane. Everyone going to play it safe. This solo lane is nothing or anything but safe, excuse me. Fight constantly going on, the rotation as well over on that solo lane, looking at trying to push Tythonic and Nil back a little bit, get a little bit of revenge. Archie not gonna find much, but will at least keep that Mordred back a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a smart call to try and alleviate that pressure. Again, you don't want to let Distortion F get to the same spot. Cryonic already taking a lot of damage, but save the detonate. The stun will get some more, but you don't have a second detonate available, so no more action here. You just pull the Aegis off of Cryonic. Not a bad look. Definitely something to watch out for. This Kate was already under a ton of presence last time, and it does not seem like it's going to be changing anytime soon. A bit of a dive attempt here, but Emelito is going to be just fine. Archie, he's only level 4, doesn't have access to the ultimate, but he's trading well here.
Kallask went down, just avoiding some of that damage from Odin wrapped around him. The Odin might be in some trouble now too, but Archie, with nothing left in the kit, will happily take the kill and go take some camps. The rest of TLM don't really want to wait. Archie's going to come right back in as well. This is certainly winnable, as Emmanuel in a tough spot will have to, they're trying to zone everybody away from each other. Gets a lot of damage now. Emmanuel and Cryonic working, but Valerion comes in, takes down Emmanuel, and that's a huge fight for TLM early.
And Droby, that didn't seem... Oh, man, that was close. It didn't seem like a fight that Tythonic needed to take. It really just seemed like something they wanted to take. Sunder and the ultimate here. No, you don't really have the chase down potential, but a blue buff invade could be what you're after. A good slow. No way. He does have a distortion. F not fast enough to zone away. And Nil is going to get the better end of that trade. My goodness. It's still, even in game 2, the Nil show. Can Archie and Cryonic get here in time to save the blue buff? Seems like no. They got to give up on that one. Nil gets out scot-free. So now really the only one ahead, if you can see levels-wise, is Nil. Everyone else is a little bit behind here, and Ice Ice the worst of it. 2 levels behind Archie in the jungle. This is a dream start for threat level Midnight. Sure, they're down a bit of gold, but again, they're trying to get to late game. If they can get to level 20 and this sort of hold this gold deficit, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, twice Ice Ice was waiting for ganks, once on the duo lane and another time in solo lane. Took a lot of time. Meanwhile, fight in mid. River's Rebuke is up to try to zone them out. Cryonic finds another kill, having a lot more success early on in this Hecate. And the Odin with the Defender of Olympus drops down. Kalas will kill Archie. And that is a trade you will take because Tythonic have not had their way in this early game outside of the solo lane.
They definitely have an Ice Ice still sticking around. Able to answer back with some good damage there. Unfortunately, I'm going to say Emmanuel's taken a large brunt of the presence here as Cryonic sitting at 2-0-2, but this dude's just fallen down to 0-2. It is one of the weaknesses, even with the damage that Emmanuel can provide. You are very immobile, and you don't really have much appeal for yourself. And remember, that blink has such a long cooldown. Even if you're able to blink out of trouble once, you're going to be in trouble probably 3 to 4 more times before that blink is back up. So definitely a good reason to just try and put more presence in the mid lane. Ult for ult here. Looks like Nil wants to go back in. Does land it. Do you have the damage to find the kill here? Looks like maybe.
Oh! Jeez, got an extra 116 out there too. Got that extra bluestone damage. Ticking down. 1v1 Nil wins it every time. You can ban Fenrir, but you can't ban Nil. He continues to dominate Distortion.
My goodness, man. Used to pursue the weak to run through the wall, then come right back in and say, you thought I was scared? 0-3 now for Distortion F. And remember, Jorby, this was the first pick 2 games in a row now. This is something that Threat Level Midnight really wanted to get in the solo lane, and so far has not had so much success. I mean, Nil is able to get aggressive, go for the invade on the blue buff pretty consistently, taking red as well just to make use of it. But remember, Tythonic had this same thing going last game where they had this massive lead in the solo lane and they weren't able to step up. Cryonic definitely going to take a lot of damage, uses the Aegis and teleports under. Detonate not going to be enough. But hey, you pull the ult, you pull the Aegis, not a bad look.
That's exactly what I want to see from Cryonic, though, because so many times got caught out in that situation, wasn't able to escape. Much better gameplay from him early on that 2-0, and also that escape, that mid lane, not as free as it was before for Tythonic. So, you know, things are going well in the solo lane for them, but in Tythonic, they only have a very slight lead on that gold. A couple more team fights for TLM go the right way, and I'm talking about them starting to take some of these objectives, but instead you're getting deleted as you get jumped on by Ice Ice on the Odin. Good night to you.
It's definitely not a bad kill to have, but as we all know, in Smite and Smite 2, you farming the same guy only works to a certain point, right? You're not getting a lot of that gold from just killing Distortion F. The real lead is going to come when Nil rotates and is a fed Mordred and sort of helps out the team. It took a while for the Fenrir to get active in game number 1. I don't want to see Nil sitting in solo lane as long as he did in game number 1. I mean, pursue the weak through the wall towards mid lane could be a great call. Here comes the blink, but I don't think you want to be this close. Oh, but maybe you do. You trade out. Sasuke picks up the kill, and now Ice Ice in some trouble.
Ice Ice is in trouble, and also a 1v2. Valerion takes down Emilito. Well, Tythonic are not having any success. Only could get the trade what looked like a winnable fight initially, turned on its head. Able to get that trade. Emilito getting picked on in the duo lane. And slight gold lead still for Tythonic. TLM, that's why, you know, kills are kills, but objectives are king. Farm is king, and well, if you're not harvesting, really doing too much, those kills not doing enough for TLM to stay even with Tythonic. Have been consistently behind, but a playable behind for sure. It really only takes one team fight for this to swing to open up a potential Gold Fury for you. And when you talk about Nil, trying to rotate and get that early pressure out to help out. Just not still gonna see it. This Archie on the Loki. Oh, Emilito, what are you gonna do? I don't even think you're gonna escape this. Health chalice, just make sure you they killed it. Oh, Archie, look out! It's a surprise! And the ult's gonna trap you. Archie got too greedy, going back into the jungle, and now that leaves Valeron all by himself. Phase 2, nice little knock there, and good job from the support Sasuke, helping give the exit path for Valeron. They might even be able to turn if Tythonic get too greedy here. You trade greed for greed. At least look for maybe a stun. If you can catch one of them, you could maybe get a bunch of damage out, but they will disengage.
Yeah, Valeron did have airstrike available, so should be enough to get you out of trouble. Or maybe you use it aggressively. Do you dash in? Emilito taking a lot of damage. I think Valeron's got to try and find this, man. Is Blink available for Emilito is the question. Looks like it doesn't matter. The airstrike off the mark. You need one more auto.
Gotta leave. Oh, the root. Getting back, Emilito.
No way.
The longer it goes, he's just gonna let it go?
I guess
surely
there's more action happening.
Surely that was gonna happen, but like you said, Sasuke kind of force Ice out. And Ice not really gonna get much. We'll try to get this speed buff. Defender of Olympus as well. Looks like they just want to fight. Athena's in the fray. Turning right back on Valerion, who had almost a kill on Emilito and is now fighting for his life. The River's Rebuke will zone the rest of Tythonic out, so a little give and go there. No one really getting a distinct advantage after an aggressive look from Tythonic.
My goodness, Nil getting the worst end of this trade. Does it end up getting the ult off? Can you get the kill before F2 comes back up the shield? Could definitely end this, but it's not enough damage.
Oh, he dodged it. He's going for it.
There it is.
And it's dead. Oh, man.
And Archie's on the way now, and Archie has ult. No, you don't want to get assassinated, and it comes through, so at least you get the shutdown kill. I was worried that it wasn't going to come through, but finally, Nil has been dealt with. 3-1, sitting pretty. And unfortunately for Distortion F, not alive to reap the benefits of having your solo laner dead. Cannot get any extra farm. Glad you pointed that out, Doug, because I do not like this build. I mean, I love the Death Gauntlets, but into the Reaper, that's really just a ton of sustain, ton of healing. Not a lot. Do we see the ult come through? We certainly do. Sasuke not looking very tanky. Do you have the cooldown for the detonate? No, you do not. Sasuke is able to make it out there. And now you can see why. Breastplate of Valor, first item picked up, but it doesn't matter because Emilito's gonna go.
Jeez, Archie just goes in for more. Poor Emilito. Not having any kind of success. If it's not Archie pushing you back, it's Valerion pushing you back. But still, despite all of that and all of that action on the other side, because they get that trade, they get the shutdown, but it wasn't before a couple dropped on TLM. And it's actually a gold increase, very slight, but this game is so close right now. A completely different makeup than last time. Distortion, this story's going about the same. There's a little more support for him over to that solo lane, but a look towards the Gold Fury for TLM, and that will do wonders to help them get back this gold deficit a little bit. But here come the look, here comes Odin, the emotion walls to try to stop them, and the Gold Fury goes down. Tythonic steal it away. Can they get the kills to try to recuperate some of the gold lost? Archie gets the first one, Emmanuel down. Ice will leave it. You got that Gold Fury. Don't fight for too long. So Tythonic come in and completely flip the gold lead. What would have been a better comeback for TLM doesn't happen. Still the fights are going on here in the duo lane. As Distortion did get that kill onto the Mordred. But again, that was just kind of a pick-me-up after losing the Gold Fury.
Yeah, it's still going in the favor of Tythonic for sure, but I love the action. Good to pick up Nil once again there, and that's all thanks to this build, by the way. This build is, I don't know. I can't speak as to how much I dislike it until we get to see how it turns out. It's just getting the Reaper after Dev Gauntlet. Like, you have such a big start into your action, and then, yeah, as highlighted, Distortion F just says, oh, I'm getting anti-heal. I have anti-heal now. So your whole bit of your second item here has already been dealt with. It's just not a lot of stats on the Reaper until later on in the game. So we'll see how Nil's build really sorts out, but there's a reason that Distortion F is going to be getting the better end of these trades in lane, at least for the early while here now. With that being said, though, Distortion F hasn't backed yet, which means you don't want to try and fight for the time being. All the while, man, Valeron has been taking a lot of pressure so far, Jorby, and sitting 2-0-2. This Jing Wei has been playing very safe, very smart, not stepping up in line of Kalos's taunt, not stepping too far forward when you know that there could be a World Weaver coming your way. And that's not easy to do. This Jing Wei is a pretty easy target when you have so much knock-up immunity on the side of Tythonic, but look at the presence. There's 3 here at this purple buff spawn, and Valerion could care less.
Yeah, they don't want that late game Jingwei to get online. TLM almost picking up that kill with the teleport. Actually gave a little bit of survivability to Nil, but it was only a feint. As the Zeus Salt pops down, we'll get a lot of damage out. Well, at least Zone and survive for a little longer. Emmanuel flips it. Distortion comes in, got the kill. Ice also taking down Distortion. Those trades, really an even 2-2. The fight's still going on. TLM losing those health bars, still getting the fight. And the little slap here from Ice will get Archie off the board. Cryonic will trade out with Ice. It's trades all day. The economy quite even in that team fight. Not a lot of health left. Cryonic couldn't confirm the kill.
Man, that caustic buff almost did call us in, but not going to be the call. As you said, trades back in fourth. We can just go ahead and do a roundup here. Still 13 kills in favor of TLM, but that gold tells no lies. Tythonic has been getting the better end of the farm pretty much all game. That being said, though, there hasn't really been a true 5v5. That's what I've been waiting for, the grouping of these solo laners. I'm glad Distortion F gets involved there. And Nil, that all starts from a little bit of an overextension and a great pull in from Cryonic. But it's the carries on the side of TLM that I think are really shining out here. I mean, 3-1 for the Hekate. Remember, not the best game one for Cryonic. And Valerion 2-0-2, still farming strong, trying to get to that late game. It's going to be a while before we see the true strength of TLM's composition, but they're hanging in there. I believe I said in game number 1, they had a comp that if you're only about like 4,000 to 5,000 down at level 20 when you have full build, that's when you're feeling strong. And they are definitely still in that threshold here as the game continues. Only 1 gold theory done. That one did go the way of Tythonic, but here comes Archie. Can you body block? You open, you get it.
You guys look like you got on her impaled there. There was nothing you could do. Completely stunned out. Nil getting targeted a couple of times now. And it is slowly starting to feel like TLM have a better read on this game, with better individual performances and better team fights as well. Tythonic, they've done well to at least keep that gold lead, but it's actually been swinging back to TLM. Remember, it was almost a 6K gold lead, a fight in front. The health bars drop in the way of TLM, and Valerion gets another kill. The Odin off from Ice just to try to zone them back. Ice picking up the kills, and all of a sudden, Archie and Cryonic are off the table. Valerion gets the kill on Emilito, so at least they get those trades. And again, nobody getting a disadvantage. Emmanuel on the Zeus, popping Valerion off. That Jingwei going down is huge. Emmanuel coming up big time here for Tythonic.
Man, I did not expect the blink in from Emmanuel, but it ends up going a long way. The Zeus is level 17, biggest on the map. And now, go ahead and take away all the farm you got. Emmanuel is going to start up the Gold Fury. Might as well grab all the farm in the meantime, because here comes Kalas. This is going to be big if they're able to confirm it. It would all be up to Sasuke to go in for a steal, but he's a little bit late. Maybe he can get here in time, though. Not quite going down. Some bubble bounces could go a long way here. Up to Ice to play zone duty.
Zone, they will. We're just killing. Okay, I think you're just going to die, buddy. Good night, Emmanuel on a killing spree. And now Zeus is here, fourth god of the gods. Is going to do that damage, wreak that havoc. Emmanuel had a couple of really solid early game ults too that helped zone fights out, helped Tythonic get trade where it looked like TLM had the advantage. And now they've swung things, Trelly. I mean, that team fight right there, we talked about TLM slowly coming back, swinging the gold back into their favor. And then all of a sudden you lose one team fight thanks to Emmanuel. It was trades, and then Emmanuel coming up big time. Now Tythonic have a commanding presence here after that Gold Fury. They've got that gold. Valerion, still someone to watch here. Could still flip things in TLM's favor.
That's the thing. Now, I think TLM knows who they have to keep their eyes on. It seems like they've been putting a lot of pressure on trying to kill Emmanuel, but still hasn't been enough. Open the gates just to pull out the beads, teleport out, but you're teleporting into a Zeus Soul if you go now. I'm not sure that's where you want to be, Cryonic. One more detonate will do it, and they missed. Oh, and someone's got to kill him.
Go hiding in the water. There you go. Ice will get the kill, and the rest of TLM, nothing you can do about it. That tower is gone. Distortion on the other side actually finds the kill onto Nil, but that's only a small pick-me-up, as Valerion also actually got pushed out here in the duo lane. a little hurting for the worst. Emelito loves to push it, but a lot of that crit coming through. An aggressive look on the ult. Does 439 to the face, but you still get deleted. Emelito lines it up and hits the shot.
Man, a lot of damage coming out of Emelito, but a lot more coming out of Archie, at least for now when you're that weak. Unfortunate, but look at midline. They're just pushing Phoenix. Emmanuel, he's got some increased attack speed. Where's the rest of TLM? They got to get here quick.
The three of them, they got to get there quick. I don't, like you said, I don't know if they're going to be able to. That should get zoned out. Maybe saving this Phoenix, but there's another Zeus ult from Emmanuel. He's happy to stay right in there for the fight. Gets a little bit of damage off. Not much, though. Yeah, Zeus ult really only zoning them out.
Oh, barely.
Just getting out of it. Still, TLM want to push it. They do have Archie here. It was done well to come in, get picks, get those trades, but no initiation from him. They'll have to go over to the side for the Pyromancer.
We have smart call here. TLM is getting a consolation prize. At least their Phoenix stands tall. Right? I mean, you don't have to worry about fire minions. In the meantime, let's take a look. You got a runic bomb that goes into Sasuke's pocket. You still have one Sunder that's over towards Distortion. Not available now, but we got to be considering fire giants here, at least at the point in the game we're at. Still, again, cannot stress how much I do not like the way that Nil opted to go into this build. It took him a while to sort of go for the comeback, but this is why you have to bring up those small tangibles, because now Fire Giant started up here. It seems like Colossus has figured it out, but you got to get here quick if you're Tythonic.
Yeah, you got to go about right now. I mean, this Fire Giant health has been dropping quickly. Coming in for that taunt. The Fire Giant goes down, and it will be TLM. I believe. No, can't even tell right there. It does look like TLM got it. Nil trying to kill everybody on top of it. Distortion taken down Nil. And Nil down. Tythonic in some dire straits now, having to retreat. Did well to create that mid lane pressure, but you couldn't get that Phoenix down. TLM hold, and all of a sudden, keeping that Phoenix up. Good cage. And you got it, but there's the ult to break out. And Jingwei will survive yet another engagement. Distortion doesn't look like he's gonna survive, though. Gets blocked, dashes out. Don't know if that's enough. They'll chase you down. As soon as that spear's back up, Distortion can get stunned. Longer it waits. Spears up. Got a charge, and just out of range, I think. Yeah, just out of range, can't do it. We'll still dive, and, well, you just have to settle for the minion wave, so Distortion will survive. Hilarious. Also coming around. Distortion knew it, he'll stay. Now you got a lot of damage with Yamoja here as well. Distortion getting that first kill. Kalos is off the board, and Ice forced to jump out and try to retreat. Great turnaround and calls here from TLM.
Man, you just stayed a little bit too long here. TLM knew they had plenty of time to go in for that Fire Giant. Small attempt at a steal from Kalas, but could not find it. All the while, Emelito was still pushing left. Nil is a non-factor here with this 3-6 operation that he's been going. It's been a while before this Mordred is going to feel tanky up against that of TLM. It's pretty much, can Emmanuel do enough damage to stop the aggression of TLM? So far, not been the case. Tier 2 tower going down. That's going to be for free. All the while, Tythonic's going to pick up their third gold fury of the game. Hitting towers is great. I mean, it helps out. It gets some gold in your pocket. It opens up the map. But what really needs to happen is the Phoenix to drop down. Not too much Phoenix damage, all things considered, as long as you're able to put presence onto Valeron. I mean, Odin Cage is a factor. The Athena Taunt's a factor. You got to be thinking about the defense capabilities here of Tythonic. As long as runic bombs aren't in play, and right now they aren't. TLM already used one. I'm not thinking Tythonic's too worried about their Phoenixes just yet. They just need level 20 to be hit for nil. I mean, this Mordred has really fallen behind. I think just truly overestimated how much he was going to be owning with that 3-0 start, because since then he has become a non-factor. They need this Mordred to be hitting big ultimates.
We'll see if Emmanuel can keep producing. He does have that top damage mark, as you should, if you're running that Zeus. They're going to need to get those bodies out of the arena as well. Going straight for another tier 2 drop. Tythonic slowly but surely losing that commanding lead that they had, but still quite commanding. Distortion coming in. Kalos is gone. No Defender of Olympus for you. No defending at all. Archie getting another kill. Cryonic will fall. And a bit of damage taken out for TLM, but they have the numbers advantage. Ice has no health. Nothing you can do. He'll get ulted on. Distortion wants to make sure you die, and that will make life really difficult now. 3 numbers down and potentially getting this Phoenix, but everybody leaving. And it does look like this Phoenix will be hard to keep alive. Yep, you get completely stunned out here. Mordred forced into the ult just to survive. That's all you're really going to do. You're going to watch your Phoenix die in front of you. So TLM, despite so many things going against them, so many smart plays here from the 20th minute onwards that have given them an advantage in the lane, given them an advantage on the map on objectives, despite that gold deficit, which is now only at 1.5K. It was like 7K just a couple of minutes ago.
I mean, yeah, this is that late game I've been alluding to if they were able to make it, and so far they have really made it, Jorby. They had plenty of time, they do plenty of damage, and of course, you just cannot keep Emmanuel and Emilito alive. In this case, Emilito survived and just looks north and tries to clear all the minions to make sure the Titan is not on TLM's mind, but you'll end up losing your mid Phoenix in the process. So I'm not sure what you can do if you're Tythonic, because again, you really only have one true frontliner for the moment. It's not as if Nil can't stand the forefront of the fight, but it's all based on can he ult in. This would be a great pick if they can find it. Emilito does some good damage. Backflip will do it, and they find it. That is big. Just to be able to find little picks like that, because that slows the aggression of TLM. Remember, Ancient Fury could be a big topic of conversation. It's not up just yet, but it could be where Tythonic tries to get aggressive. They've got the one-man advantage, and they're giving Nil some time to farm up, maybe upgrade that starter item in the meantime. I think you got to fight, though. You have 30 seconds without Cryonic. If I'm Tythonic, I'm hunting somewhere.
Yeah, try to find something more. It was a good initial idea. You know they're in farming mode right after that last fight, going to look for that pick. The TLM getting grouped back up. Cryonic only down for another 20 seconds, and they actually might find an isolation play. Again, another defensive Mordred ult for Nil. Not how you want to be playing this at all, and you get pushed right back into the fray, but support has arrived. Emmanuel is here as well. Drops that Zeus ult to zone them back. Rivers rebuked to try to separate a little bit more of that action, and Distortion does not care about the Zeus. Emmanuel will still get a kill on the other side. This Jingwei Valerian was doing a lot of damage as well under the tower. Tythonic needs this win on the team fight. Emilito knows it. Sasuke goes down. They flip it. It's 2 for 1. And while you lose Emmanuel, your top damage mark, you do keep 2 down for now. That's going to force TLM to at least play a little more passive as they wait for everything to get back online.
Distortion F still around. It looks like trying to bait the Fire Giant here is Tythonic. They don't know there's some ward coverage around for the time being. Cryonic, you're walking right up into a taunt, and you don't have the feed. You gotta kill him quick, or the ult comes through. Even with the Aegis, you're not surviving this one. Pull a couple under tower, no way. It matters, but here comes Archie just using the ult a little bit too late. I think you want to be this close.
Yeah, that was what a heads-up play there from Archie. Get there, you know you have at least a chance to make a play there, and the tower, I believe, was hitting Ice. Not the ideal target there, just with how the positioning went. Still a good try there from Archie, and you do at least save that tower.
Play for now. Again, still have to deal with fire minions. Remember, if Tythonic had a group of 5 and their Phoenix wasn't down, maybe they just go in for the Fire Giant here, but they end up just trying to fed mid, push up those waves for the time being. Then maybe going for a Fire Giant. Cryonic's been dead the past 2 engagements, really. It's kind of just been dash, taunt, kill. And this is what I've been talking about so much about these characters that don't have CC immunity in their ults, and they're not just hugging their support constantly. The taunt into Cryonic is going to be a kill every single time if Sasuke is not nearby. And even if Sasuke is, the beats are down for 75 seconds. So I really love the way that Kalas has been playing this pick, just hiding in the jungle, waiting to see if a dash taunt can start to break open this team fight. Still, there's a dash taunt there. Pulls the airstrike. Now your safety of your Valerian has been taken away. That Phoenix is about to respawn, though. There's still a couple more fire minions spawning in mid that you got to worry about. But just pay attention to Kalas, man. He's going to be the initiator. He's going to find something.
Tythonic really want to get this Fire Giant and flip this right back. TLM have done a great job fighting back. If you want the playbook on how to play from behind, I think in those mid-minutes, they really showed you how, but they forced everybody out, and they will just straight up go for this Fire Giant, but it can be contested. Still, that health will be dropping quite quickly. Emmanuel there, they're going to pull off, but this is stealable for sure. Mordred ult will keep 1 out, but still they're involved. Fire Giant goes down, and it is Tythonic who pick it up. Now it's about the response. Emmanuel will drop that ult with the Fire Giant on boot for that too. You actually force the Aegis out as well. Valerian is fully out of this fight. No health. Will have to back through the grass. Tythonic not going to find any immediate pickup kills on the attempted steal, but you do force everybody back. You popped an Aegis, and now you're back in control.
Yep, go ahead and go back, get that last fire wave, pushing up mid. Definitely a smart call. Don't want to lose your Phoenix. And then go in for the Ancient Fury. I love this play here from Tythonic. Remember, the Ancient Fury is going to help out with that mid Phoenix at the very least, and the tier 2 on right and left. Something Tythonic could definitely use, because with a Neath, you don't have that much traditional auto attack damage towards trying to break open the base. A Runic Bomb will definitely help. That one's going to go over towards Emilito. Something to keep in mind as well. With Fire Giant on all 5, Tythonic would love to just split up the map, get all the prime real estate, those 2 tier 2s, and we can consider breaking open the base here with threat level Midnight. But now that TLM's on the back foot, we got to think about ways that they have good defense. I mean, Cryonic's got good clear, yes, but he does not want to be within range of a dash taunt. We have seen if Kalos can dash in range of you, you're in kill threshold. That's going to happen every single time. And if you're not, you got to watch out for the River's Rebuke. I mean, Sasuke's been pretty on point. If you step too far forward of just locking you in underneath your Phoenix. And the only Phantom Shell they have is on Nil, who wants to dive the back line. So he's not going to be sitting there with the front line, you know, trying to Phantom Shell everyone. He wants to go with Pursue the Weak and hit a carry.
And TLM happy to concede the tier 2s. Call about finding underneath Phoenix. You get pulled. Valerion and Cryonic will get 2 off the table. And that was, you talked about, all right, how do you play good defense here? How about the pull into the Phoenix and picking not just 1, but 2 Trell?
Yeah, that's just troll. I mean, Emilito had backflip, might even have had blink. You're not next to your support with beads. That's as troll as they come. There's no reason for you to be that close without your support. And now, chase down begins. You got to back up. You got to find clear. And look, think about who's going to be clearing waves here. I mean, Nil, Ice, and Kalos, they don't have much wave clear. This is definitely a Phoenix, and we might even be looking at an end call here for TLM if this goes poorly. Tythonic, they got to try and keep the base alive.
All of the damage for Tythonic is still on respawn. Mordred ult will come in, at least delay for a little bit longer. But in a 3v5, you're certainly going to have a difficult time. Ice trying to come in from behind when Archie takes down Kalos. And with Kalos off the table, no more CC for you. Valerion gets the Phoenix down. And now it's time to push. It's time to kill. It's time to win. Distortion gets another one. Nil is gone. And with that, only Ice, Emmanuel, and Emilito have spawned. That's all your damage back. And TLM, they realize that as well. Pull off, can you get them to lurk forward a little bit, overextend, get the kills and win anyway? Seem kind of thinking about it. They know they still have that numbers advantage, have all 5, but TLM have played this late game perfectly so far.
You definitely don't want to get caught out here. TLM is looking for the end call. Again, no beads available for Emilito. If he gets caught out, that could just be it. Blinks forward, misses everything. Emilito, does he get the kill though? Yes, he trades one out. That's ridiculous first from Emilito.
Oh my God! How in the world did he burst him that hard? Ice also taking down Distortion. This is not how the script was supposed to go for TLM. You had the advantage all over the place. You had Emilito isolated. He blinked forward. The ego blink.
Dude blinks forward, drops the double weave, backflips away and says, oops, I blew ya. My bad, man. Was just trying to escape and ends up killing. Now Archie and Sasuke have to put on the same display that we just saw, the same defense. You got 26 seconds without Cryonic, but your benefit here, no one's really grouped. As of now, it's just Emmanuel and Ice trying to go in for the Phoenix. If Archie can get close, Emmanuel does so much damage, though I don't think you want to be close to this Zeus. You gotta just give this Phoenix up. End call would be risky, but the Phoenix for sure.
You might feel confident with it. That Athena pull into Emmanuel is certainly a quick death for anybody that catches it on TLM, but I think they might have heard you, Trelly, and will immediately back off. Don't want to take unnecessary risk, not when the ebb and flow of this has been like a tide pool going both ways. And TLM have played that good defense, the slight overextensions from Tythonic. This is a chance for them to close it out, something they weren't able to do against the likes of Smokebreak or Yodi Gang in those 3-game sets. This is a big chance now after you responded and you got a couple Phoenix, or you got at least that right side Phoenix down, mid Phoenix up for TLM.
Just gonna be paying attention to the beads, man. Like, that's the biggest question mark for me. The dash taunts from Kalas have been huge. Guess what? Cryonic's ultimate was also massive there for slowing the pace of this game. There is no reason, I'm going to say one more time, that Emmanuel and Emilito are walking up without their tanks if they don't have Blink available, because if you get PC change, you're just dead. These carries cannot hope to survive. But now, right side Bird, down. Mid Phoenix, down. Nil stepping up, just trying to play zone duty. Where's Kalas? Keep your eyes on the Athena. he's going to still be the one that tries to get active, get involved. I wouldn't even hate like Emelito just starting the fight with a World Weaver, right? You see a carry walk up too hard, just half health him immediately with that ultimate. Might not be a bad look. Sasuke's not really the target you're after, but when we're 35 minutes into the game, anyone can get blown off of one instance of CC. Also something to keep in mind, 2 runic bombs in favor of Tythonic to the 0 of TLM. A Fire Giant toss-up is definitely going to go the way of Tythonic. At least, you know, the odds are in their favor.
Amazing how things flipped after TLM had won that first Fire Giant, got all those tier 2s down, got the mid Phoenix down. Now things have flipped again. Actually back up, they're going right back towards it. And the Zeus ult popped as well. Mordred ult. There's a lot committed on this team fight. Tythonic want to win this right here. But slowly and surely, Nil's losing this fight. Ice go take down a lot of damage for TLM. Valerian off the table. Archie does get a nice trade, but Nil takes down Cryonic, and that is most all of that damage gone. You have distortions, and Archie's still available, but they're slowly dying, slowly losing. Archie down to Nil, and that just may do it. There's nothing that this Yomoja can do. As Nil comes across again, the health bars drop. Good night to you, TLM. Cannot stop the onslaught from Tythonic. That'll be your Phoenix, and likely your Titan.
Yeah, Emelito has the damage for sure, and all the tank distortion up. All he can do is try and blow up his knee, for the Titan has to drop down here. Even if distortion up kills one, the Titan should be able to stall. But hey, that's an offensive because the trick shot is slowing this one. That's the pick up Emelito on the way out, but they have the health bars to bounce this Titan back and forth. And you know what? It's a 2-0 Jorby, but a back and forth 2-0 at that. You gotta give props to TLM. Definitely a squad that is going to be a threat in the last chance qualifiers, but Tythonic have stamped their way to playoffs.
I 100% agree with you. I loved how TLM played from behind that entire game. They just weren't able to really command it for more than one team fight, one post-team fight, right? You get that huge objective, you get the Fire Giant, you take down all those tier 2s, you may even have a chance to end it. Emmanuel and Emelito get a little cocky going up and thinking they can play by themselves and almost cost Tythonic the game. Yep. But Tythonic, man, it can be so easy to let that swing push you back and then lose. Seen it happen plenty of times in Smite. But man, what a performance from Tythonic to hold on, something that they weren't able to do in some of their previous matches, but they hold on with a big 2-0 into the playoffs.
Yeah, and the other thing is that one defense where Nil and Ice had to go big to just stall until you get Emelito and Emmanuel back up after they got picked. That could have easily been an end call if they didn't, put up the it wasn't flawless defense, but they stalled the game long enough to make sure the carries got back up, people that can actually clear minions and do damage, and then the end call becomes non-existent. And I mean, I'm gonna have to watch back that kill from Emelito because it did seem like he was just in no man's land, should have been picked out, and then just the double weave into the backflip, just absolutely deleting. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to watch that clip again.
That one felt like a pure experience move from Emelito. He's like, no. I have the play here. Watch this. How about the forward blink? They'll never see
I've been playing Neat since before you kids were born.
Yeah, for real. Oh, man. And Cryonic, man, I really liked how he played that early game. I thought it was going to be a lot better, but then you had talked about it a couple of times. They started really isolating Cryonic, getting that taunt pull, and it's just so hard as Hecate. If you get zoned out, like you can't be out of range of Athena if you want to do anything to anyone else in the team fight. So you were just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place where you're either out of the fight or you're dead, and there was nothing you could do. So Tythonic did a great job shutting that down.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's why I think when you're up against compositions like this, picking up a second beads in solo lane can be so impactful, because if you mess up and you waste your beads or it gets blown out by the first taunt, you still have a backup. Because most of these carries, in fact, all of these carries throughout the entirety of this set just did not pick up the beats. They rely so heavily on their support saying, hey, that one big instance of CC, you're going to cleanse me, I'm good. Turns out in a lot of these team fights, you're going to get CC'd more than once, and you're going to want a second instance of that CC immunity. So definitely something to think about while you're in the last chance qualifiers, fighting your way back in. But again, hey, shouts out to Tythonic. They get to sit back and just sort of watch this gameplay unfold. As all of the other teams that have came before them that have qualified their way, because not easy to do. I mean, this was a very stacked bracket. I was very impressed with the talent EMEA has, and can't wait to see how this region, progresses forward throughout the weeks.
I mean, this playoff, the playoff look, at least, Team Risk, Giovanni Giorgio, Mockingbird, all these teams had some really standout matches. But taking a look at that Swiss bracket, you had quite the journey for some of these teams. Smoke Break as well, dropping to Team Risk and Mockingbird, only to win against Titans Reloaded in round five. Bill's Goons get in on the way of a forfeit, which has to feel pretty nice to get into the playoffs. And Tythonic, obviously, we just got done watching that. But Trelly, I got to ask you, is it Team Risk and everybody else, or you liking Giovanni Giorgio as well here?
I mean, man, Team Risk just seems far and above as the best squad right now. They've been able to adapt so well. I'm not saying that that's what it's going to look like in about like 3 weeks from now when we see these guys again. But yes, as of now, I've got my money on Team Risk just never dropping a game. And if they play to the way that we know they can, it is just disgusting how they are able to mesh together. And it doesn't really even seem like they've been playing together that long, but they just feel like a well-oiled machine.
I really do. But we are done now with EMEA and the Swiss stage. We got more matches today, though. We still have to finish out the NA side and figure out who's going to the last chance qualifiers and who is moving on to the playoffs. We have Mr. Play by Play versus Borscht, and then Garf's Goblins versus Look Within to round out the day. I know you said you were really excited to see this Garf's Goblin squad. I'm excited to take a look at them as well. I'm kind of waiting to see. I'm excited to see Borscht play. I want to see if they could get it done here against Mr. Play by Play. So lots of fun action coming up as the final teams will look to round it out, get a couple of weeks off if you make the playoffs, and get some extra scrim time. Will be super valuable on the road to Vegas. But yeah, Trelly, I know I asked you before. I know you said you were excited for that Garf's Goblins. But how do you feel about how all the matches have gone in round five so far? Were there any surprises or anything you're still looking forward to outside of that last match?
I mean, just the fact that Borscht is even in this position has to be a topic of conversation, man. This is a squad that everyone looked at and were like, this could be a top four squad easily. And I think that they have shown that they can perform at that level. But the fact that they are here, and again, it's one game from playoffs, yes, but it's also one game from elimination and going down to LCQ. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes on them. They have played to very high highs and honestly pretty low lows, just make overextensions, rookie mistakes that we assume that they wouldn't be making. So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on that Borscht set. It's going to be an interesting one, and we'll see how it plays out.
The way round five has gone, teams are showing their mettle, and so often in tournaments you do see that, and that just makes me more excited for the last chance qualifier, where we'll really see those kinds of compositions and that kind of desperation to try to get to Vegas. I'm certainly excited for it. Should be a fun time. Make sure, by the way, you're typing in exclamation point access if you liked what you saw and you're like, you know what, Smite 2 is looking pretty good right now. It's time for me to get in. Well, if you type in exclamation point access, guess what? You can get access for free. Click the link. You type in Smite 2 Esports in the key, in the link. You get a code to play Smite 2. You ain't got to pay a cent for it, even though the God Pack is the best deal in gaming. So make sure you pick that up if you're enjoying Smite 2. But we got our next match of the day moving over to the NA side after the break. Don't go anywhere.